everyone, welcome back to the Anime Iceberg. I'm Megan,
And I'm Meg.
and today we're talking about Dr. Stone episode 50, Deal Game Test of Wit.
Yes, and this is, I think, season 3, episode 14. Summary of the episode. More of the Kingdom of Science is brought back from petrification, but they are discovered in the cave by Maz.
Yep, and this covers manga chapters 122, Brain Battle Puzzle Pieces, and 123, Brain Battle Gambit. If I were a
Interesting.
mangaka, the titles of my chapters would be the very last thing I think of, and I just like slap it on and send the chapter off. I wouldn't put that
So
much
I would be
thought into
helping
it.
you.
Yes, yes, you would.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. It's like, what even happened at the end of the last episode? Oops. How could I forget? Um, Kohaku and Ginro have just been turned to stone. But then we go back to the cave and a bunch of people are getting revived. They revive Yuzuriha first, which is very smart because she knows how to put everybody back together.
And
Very
make
good at
clothes.
it. Yes, and make clothes. Um, and they revive Chrome, and he's just like Kasaki, where he's like super excited to have been turned to stone. He's like, that's awesome.
I feel like they
Uh,
missed an opportunity. Hey, maybe this will happen later if he gets turned into stone again. But I felt like they should have revived him and he'd be counting, like Senku did.
hmm Yeah, that would have been great, actually. They should have done that because he's totally Senku's protege.
He's Senku's little helper.
hmm Nah, he just had total faith that he would
So
get
I don't need to
revived.
count. We're gonna come back
Yeah.
soon.
And do you think he really has the concentration to do that?
One, two, three. I wonder what they're doing right now. Huh.
Yeah, that's how it would have gone. But then we get Megan's favorite boy, Ukyo's revived. They need their 3D specialist because they're gonna be entering an air battle. And Suika, just like with Risui, she makes him a hat, which is a cute little detail.
And he keeps it
Um,
on the whole time, even though it's made out of paper.
hmm Ah, all those boys are so sweet.
Suika is like that classic, like when brothers have a baby sister like way younger than them and they're overprotective. She's got like an entire army of big brothers to protect her.
Totally. So everybody's getting revived, and then Amaryllis comes back to their cave and she reports what's happened to Kohaku and Ginro.
Yeah, and I mean in the manga they mentioned this, but you kind of get the gist in the anime. She took the opportunity to slip away while everyone was covering their eyes. Because if you remember, when Kirasame throws the device, Ibara's always like, "The master's gonna unleash his power. You must cover your eyes, or you'll get petrified too." And now, since Amaryllis, she knew that it was a device. She has more insider info because she's part of the Kingdom of Science now. So she's like, well, I'm not covering my eyes, and hey, I'm gonna make my exit now.
Yeah, and of course everybody's like upset, but also they're like good for Kohaku and Ginro. They got a lot of information. And Senku's like, you should be proud. The spy team did great. And also from this information, they find out that they only have one petrification device. And Kirisame is the only one who has it. Part of that is because the person throwing the petrification device is at risk of also being turned into stone. And so
Yes.
Ibarra, being the great guy that he is, doesn't wanna risk that. But there's also another reason for her having it, which we'll find out very shortly.
Yes, and this is all found out through deductive reasoning, which
hmm
sometimes that makes me a little uncomfortable because I'm like, you don't know for sure. But
Yeah.
in their case, they have to work with what they've got. So to speculate on some things is kind of necessary, but it does make sense when they start putting the pieces together. And I kind of like how, it's like the five generals talking about it. And I like how
Mhm.
Chrome is the only one who's like, wait, 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 I don't get it. I don't understand. And the others don't treat him like they think he's stupid for not knowing. They're like, "Oh, you're smart. You can put it together once we explain how we got to this, you know?"
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I kind of agree with that. There's a lot of deductive reasoning in this episode, and everything that they deduce, turns out to be correct. But I do kind of agree with like, I'm not super sure about that because the one thing that I know about humans is that they are often not predictable. Obviously, for the sake of the story, um, it needs to go this way, but
Yeah.
it
And
also would.
for the sake of the kingdom of science being decisive, like
Mhm.
they just have to go with it, you know?
Yeah, no, they don't really have a choice. Yeah, so while Amaryllis is telling them all of this, Maz appears. He followed her and has discovered their little lair. And at first, Taiju tries to not attack him, defend everybody else. He doesn't attack. But Maz is super strong. They quickly realize they're like he could take them all down and they're in a super dangerous situation. But then they figure out that Maz is not on Ibarra's side.
If
Um,
he was, he would have just killed
yeah, he would.
Amaryllis instead of tailing her.
Yes, yeah. He wants something for himself, and this is when everybody looks to Gen. They're like, "You take care of this dude," and Gen is not. Well, he pretends not to be happy about it, and he proposes that the Kingdom of Science and Maz team up, and he uses what he calls his manipulation techniques. Well, first he and Senku work together to try to dazzle him. They show him all the cool things that they have, like their drone and
This
stuff.
Gen's theme song would be, you know that song from Chicago, Give him the old razzle dazzle. Like, how can they see the truth behind the lies? Long as you keep them way off balance, how can they spot you've got no talents? That's the line.
Yep, that's totally true. Uh, that'd be a perfect like animatic for Gen.
It might exist out there somewhere.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Gen uses his manipulation techniques, which technique number one is facing the same way to make it seem like you guys are on the same side. And then the second thing is to force your opponent to respond. What he basically goads him into like, he's like, oh, you're so strong, but he doesn't like,
He gives an estimate of how strong Maz is that's just a
yes,
little below what he
yes,
is.
yes,
So
and then
Maz
Maz
feels
says,
the need to correct him.
yes, yes, that's what I was trying to say. But then we learn the other reason that Kirisame has the petrification device because I think Ibarra suspects that Maz isn't entirely on his side. But Kirisame is like super loyal to the master, and this is when they also realize that the master she thinks the master is still alive because when she threw the petrification device, she threw it far
Above
enough so
where,
it like so it
yeah,
like wouldn't get the master. Um, and so basically, T Maz can't attack Ibarra or Kirisame because she would use a petrification device. So he's kind of stuck. They're in like what's the one thing where everybody's
the gun.
pointing, yeah. Is it
Uh,
like a Mexican standoff? Is that what it's
something
called?
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
because Maz is like, if I attack Ibarra, Kirisame gonna come after me. But if I attack Kirisame, then I will get ousted from my position and won't get access to the harem.
hmm So he's in a tough spot, so he kind of needs the Kingdom of Science to take the petrification device. And this is the last trick that Gen proposes that they team up and that but he says they have to be the ones to keep the petrification device and Maz is like, well, I'm super strong, so I'm just gonna I'm not gonna take that deal, and I'm gonna take it from you guys.
As soon as somebody can't decide for themselves, then they react or what I don't know exactly how he
Yeah,
explained it.
this was when I got a little bit lost, but
But that's because
uh,
Gen's the master. But basically,
yeah.
basically he put the petrification device on the table and was like, "Oh, we're gonna have that. You can't have that." Which made Maz go, "No, I want that." So he once something was up for the taking, then he's like, "Oh no, but I'm gonna partner with you guys, but just so you know, I get all the spoils."
Yeah, yeah.
And when Maz leaves, I feel like as the audience, you're left going, "Well, that was a bust," and then you realize, "Wait a second, they're still alive." Like
hmm
as Ukyo said, Gen moved the goalposts because the first thing that they were trying to convince Maz of is like, please don't kill us. And now
hmm
it's graduated to a, oh yes, we are teaming up.
Yeah, yep. And Maz didn't even notice.
I
Um,
didn't hardly notice.
right, I didn't either. Like that is why Gen is the master. So Maz has joined them, and they give Maz an earpiece, and this is when he's like, "Oh, Kohaku had this too."
Yeah, that's a
So
bad move. As soon as they gave him that, I was like, why would you give him the exact same one Kohaku was wearing? Like she still
yeah,
has it. She still has it on her ear. She's petrified it. I'm like, you can't just. It's a giveaway. It's a dead giveaway.
mm-hmm, yeah. But they do it anyway. I mean, they're kind of a little crunched for time, so.
Yeah.
Their plan is to have Maz attack the soldiers disguised, to basically freak them out and make the inner palace think that the kingdom of science is stronger than it is, so then they can. Well, we'll find out the rest of their plan later. Um, but so now Maz is going undercover and beating everyone up, and
Yep.
that's where the episode ends.
Yeah, and we've got some manga extras. So first is a file for Orashi. Strength is 5 stars, speed is 4 stars, and intellect is 2 stars. Hey, at least he got two. Um, height is 183 centimeters, and his job is the raid captain. Orashi is known to himself and others as the most powerful guy around. His burly body is also super speedy. His lack of intelligence is the only thing keeping him from being the best warrior, but Orashi doesn't care. He even takes pride in that fact. In his opinion, muscles make the man. He's currently recruiting a girlfriend who understands that. He's got a crush on Amaryllis, but he knows that anyone who tries to steal from the harem gets petrified.
He is like almost exactly 6 feet.
Okay. He doesn't. He is sort of like Magma, like a Gaston-esque guy, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he might be better than Magma.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we don't really get to see him that much because
No, he's not really a main player. He's just kind of a nuisance right now. But
yeah,
it's just sort of like, well, you're on the bad guy side. Sorry, dude, we're gonna have to beat you up. Just because you're a
yeah.
bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy. Anyway, and the other thing is Mecha Senku Q&A. How does Suika fit inside the watermelon rind like that? And it's so cute because there's like this little drawing that I think a kid must have sent this question in, and it's like a little crayon drawing of Suika off to the side. And it says, "Nice to meet you." Um, Senku says, "It isn't that her body ceases to exist. If you look closely, you can see that she's crouching and curled up within. It seems that Suika has literally reinvented the wheel all on her own. She's already doing science."
He's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We don't really have, again, once again, we are living boring lives. But we finished Cowboy Bebop.
Hmm.
That was
It was
it did not end how I was expecting it to.
it was a
It
I mean,
was
what a way to go out, but it
yeah. It was to me it was very like I don't even know if I would say it's bittersweet. It's just like
mm,
melancholy
yeah.
almost, like the
And
ending.
we don't get to see Ed in the last episode
Yeah.
either. Mm,
Which like I don't know the whole time it's like yes, there's they all have kind of dark pasts, but
yeah.
the show is pretty upbeat and then the end you're like
Didn't see that coming.
no. I was pretty sad.
Yeah, I kind of got
Uh,
it spoiled for me, but I didn't know everything.
yeah.
But
I
like,
think the saddest thing for me it was like Faye at the end like begging him. not to
Yeah.
do it. I was like, oh,
He
stop.
kind of he got to say goodbye to Jet too, but
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, I felt really bad for Jet because that found family they had on Bebop, he was
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, he just seems like the kind of guy who wanted a family, so I felt bad that it kind of fell apart at the end. Not
Yeah.
not that it was anyone's fault, it just happened, but
Mm-hmm.
I will say that show was made in like 1998 and that was like a lot of it was risque for the time. Like there were a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that happened. I'm like, oh, they went there. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty. There was some moments we were like, whoa, I did not
Yeah.
need to see that. But
Yeah. But it was also
yeah,
like I get why it
it's
was so groundbreaking and why so many people are
mhm.
like, oh, it's a classic. I wouldn't put it up there as one of my favorite shows, but it definitely was a groundbreaker for like paving the way for shows that came after. So
Mhm. Yeah, and I one thing I found really interesting about it is that it's like, yes, it's like this found family thing, but like at the same time, the like whenever the characters like went and dealt with their past, it was always on their own, and
yeah,
nobody went and like people,
it's like you're
everybody
welcome
else,
here. You're welcome here, but we understand that you've got your own
yeah,
life.
and like well, like everybody else was like chose not to help them. You
Yeah.
know, where like a lot of things like I mean what comes to mind is like Guardians of the Galaxy. It very much reminds me of
Mm.
that.
Hmm.
It like when somebody was dealing with their past, everybody comes together and it's like, yeah, we're gonna help you. And that's
Right.
not what this was.
No,
Like,
two things I appreciated about Cowboy Bebop though. The first one was that it's like this futuristic space world, but where humans have colonized different planets. I like that it was just
mm-hmm.
humans. There weren't any
Yeah,
aliens.
yeah.
Like
I like
it was
that too.
almost, yeah, it was almost like I got a very Star Warsy vibe. Obviously, Star Wars came first, but Star Wars, but without the aliens and weird, magical things happening. So like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing I really appreciated was there was no romantic like within Bebop, the crew, no romance. Like Faye is obviously the token woman of the show, but like
Mm-hmm.
she and Spike didn't have a fling or anything, and he didn't even seem impressed by her beauty.
Yeah, he only had eyes for one woman.
Yes. He and Faye were like very sibling coded. I
Mm-hmm.
liked it. I
Yep.
really liked it.
Yeah, I would say it was not my favorite show, but it definitely was worth watching for
Yes.
sure. Anyway, that was our little mini, I guess our little mini impromptu review of Cowboy Bebop. There will be no bonus episode.
No, it would just be like
Uh,
10 minutes long and
yeah. But we started a new show. We're only 3 episodes in, I think.
yeah. About
We're
to be four.
watching. Yes, yes. We're watching Moriarty, the Patriot. So, uh,
It's already intense.
yeah. No, the first episode was like, whoa. I mean, I knew it was gonna be intense, but
Yeah.
good so far. Definitely dark.
Get to hear Senku as a bad guy.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
I
The
mean,
the
vigilante kind of
yeah. I
villain.
don't know exactly what he is, but
Yeah, I don't know
um.
either.
Yeah, yes, Aaron Dismuke plays Moriarty. So,
Yep. And we've heard Chrome's voice. I think
mm-hmm.
he'll be back in a bit role, or maybe it's a bigger role. I don't know. I don't know the characters. I think Ian's gonna be in it too, so that's Tsukasa. Can't think if anyone else from Doctor Stone is.
Okay. I think that's it. So,
Yeah.
Megan, what was your favorite line?
Mine came from Chrome. Well, we'll cross that burning bridge when we come to it later, I guess. And I chose that line because when he said that, I was like, oh, I use that phrase all the time. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great line.
And how about you, Meg?
Mine came from Senku when Yuzuriha got revived. Taiju, I think he like wanted to hug her, but then
Like, what?
yeah, he didn't. And Senku's like, ugh, did you revert to a hover-handing middle schooler just now? Yeah. And then what did we learn?
Don't limit yourself. Many things can be found out with little information. Ultra deduction.
Mhm. And then who pushed the story forward?
Gen for sweet talking Moz.
Definitely a very Gen-centric episode for sure.
Yes. Honestly, when we first watched this season, Gen was being like so, his character was being pushed so much. I'm like, something bad's gonna happen to him. Because in Shonen, as soon as the character becomes valuable or useful, something awful befalls them. So we'll see. We'll see.
All right, that's all we've got for this episode, and we will be back next week with another episode.
Yep. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.